Hello and welcome back to the RWBY podcast. We are talking about the Yang trailer and Volume 5, Episode 1, which is Welcome to Haven. I am Watts's Wax Mustache, Mediocrity 4.
The esteemed moderator of this podcast, high-powered. It's good to see y'all again, and I'm finally glad that the wait is over for this volume of RWBY. I know we're in for a ride, but I look forward to it.
It's your resident Renora lover, and today your birthday boy. It's Dude, what the heck?
Woo!
Happy birthday, old
Thank
man.
you.
The majesty
I know,
of
right?
Mr. Nora.
Yes.
And, they say therapy's good for you, but when I told my my therapist my origin story, she said I had Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know what to Useless. It's useless.
And I was asked to participate here today for my scholarly wisdom. In other words, because I'm a huge nerd, I am Robert.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a good way to put it, but that's a good thing. It's a good thing, all right?
Yep.
Welcome back to the
Really-
podcast, Robert. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
If all of us are here, we're all giant nerds, so that's,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's
I
okay.
prefer the term.
All right.
I'm the only one wearing a Star Wars shirt, so...
Actually, my fiance just got me a Star Wars shirt for my birthday today,
Yeah.
so I'm pretty
I
happy
got a
about
couple of those. Yeah.
By the way, as we're recording this, I think Dude mentioned it already, but it is Dude's birthday. It won't be by the time this goes up because I'm not going to be uploading this
Yeah.
until Tuesday when the spoiler ban is lifted.
that. Yeah, of course.
But still, in the comments section on the YouTube or even on our RWBY on Facebook page, please send him his birthday wishes, Renora fan art, everything.
Anything
Yes,
Renora
yes.
related. Because Renora is life, as we all
That
know.
includes porn, though, but don't tell his wife. I'll say words.
Yep.
'Cause, I mean, if you've been with us long enough, you know how Dude gets when Renora gets brought up.
Yes,
Pulls out the
and
soapbox, sits it down.
they're like the opposite of Oscar. They're like the anti-Oscar, basically, is what they are.
Yep.
But we will touch on both things today.
Yeah,
But
so
first,
it's time for the long-awaited Yang trailer.
Which we should have had for the last podcast, but
Yeah.
didn't. But we already the three of us, High Power Dude and I, we already ranted about that in the last podcast.
Well, and
I
not
mean,
only
all
knows
of
that-
He already knows I'm pissed about that because I was waiting for that for so long. I was
No, this would have added much needed context for
Well,
this episode because we see
it
Yang in
would've.
this episode.
it's still just bad, like
And-
advertisement, scheduling, something.
and not only that, but who went high-powered media and I separately because we all live in separate states, but we all went to the premiere on Thursday, and Robert did too.
I
And
didn't.
there was no Yang trailer even there, which
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
even less forgivable.
I
Even
will
that-
say that if the fact that I didn't get the Yang trailer, kind of I came into Volume 5, Episode 1 very salty. But let's talk about what actually happened in the Yang trailer. So it's basically, instead of Tai sparring with Yang sparring with RWBY, because as we all know, she's terrible without her scythe, and basically Yang runs circles around her and makes her look like a fool.
Yeah. Apparently she
and-
doesn't learn any. Well, no. Apparently she learned just enough for the first episode when she kicked a guy across a store, and then promptly forgot all of it by the time Volume 2 came around.
I think that was just
That's
more like
because that character
her thing.
detail wasn't thought up until Volume 2.
I know. Yeah, I know that.
Good point.
They're trying to improve their continuity by
Yeah.
recalling that she knew before that she's bad without her weapon. I appreciate at least the attempt to
Yeah.
get some
It was a-
continuity going,
Yeah.
even if it's
Maybe
kind of retcon.
That
At this point, retconning is like something we'll have to accept, and I'd rather them retcon certain things to make some sort of continuity make sense.
and retcons can improve the show. For instance, one of the biggest
already have.
retcons. I'm gonna go off RWBY here. I'm gonna go beyond. DC Comics, Red Hood. His original origin story with the Superboy Prime Punch was beyond just dumb.
Stupid. Yeah.
So when they retconned
Alright.
it, they retconned it into being the Lazarus Pit, which makes way more sense. So that was a good retcon.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So basically what happens is RWBY gets knocked off of the stage and like instantly KO'd. Well, she knocks herself off the stage. Let's say that.
Yeah.
She knocks herself.
Yeah.
Actually, she gets knocked into the stage.
Yeah. And so then an Ursa shows up. I'll be real honest. I like the new Ursa model.
It is
This
amazing.
one pretty good.
Yeah, it does look great. It does
It
look
actually
great.
skipped my mind that we didn't see any Ursa last volume. I was like, oh.
I'm
Yeah.
surprised we didn't notice that. In all honesty,
I'm gonna be right. Well, it's like the Ursa, you're like, oh, they're big, but they're.
There's a lot of other
every
things
time
to
they
talk
pop up,
about.
They're usually just say high powers. Like every time they pop up, they're usually just memed on instantly.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like.
And so
So I like the new Ursa design. I just think that there was nothing wrong with the previous Ursa design.
Yeah.
Like there's no real like unlike the Beowulfs, because the original Beowulf designs were just
Brawny and-
they're
Did not
the
look
worst
at all
design
present.
Grimm. The Beowulfs from volumes 1 through 3, the base level Beowulfs, they were the least threatening creature in that entire freaking in those volumes. So I think the Alpha Beowulfs were better. I think the Beowulfs in the Red trailer were more intimidating.
Those are just baby ones. Those are the baby ones.
Well, no, they kind of retconned it to where, because they had a complete design change. Like those were the Beowulf models, and then they decided to add the bony stuff to them later on. So like
put
kind
more
of
spikes on it
so
to look
kind
cool, we
of
promise.
so kind of like in continuity. So kind of in continuity, those should have had bones on them. It's kind of this weird thing because you know
They had a whole room of
it's-
remnant on
it's-
that. So
and-
it's like.
And not to play my whole hand here. I've been tweeting back and forth with a guy named the Floof Artist. He goes by the Floof Artist on Twitter. I think he's Max Lampy on a couple of RWBY Facebook groups, and on YouTube he's the Psy Guy, I think. I don't know. I'm not subscribed to him, so I don't know.
Yeah, on Facebook groups, he's Max Sci Guy Lampy.
Yeah, and so and we were tweeting, and he kind of came to this conclusion and pointed it out to me, is that like the anime, like, and this is the analogy I showed him. It's kind of like this line that Harrison Ford used to always say at conventions regarding George Lucas's dialogue, which was always his weakest part, his weakest aspect of writing. Harrison Ford said, "You can write it, but you can't say it." And RWBY has a lot of animation equivalents of that. Like, you can write it thematically and narratively, it'll make perfect sense, but then no good ever comes. God, high power. I'm so glad we got face
I can
cam
still
now.
talk. I'm wireless.
Yeah. So, no good will ever come from the animators not talking to each other and sharing notes. And there's a lot of that in a lot of the fight scenes and stuff from really ever since Volume 2. Ever since Monty stopped being able to animate a lot of the fight scenes himself.
Since he died?
Yes.
I mean, that's a factor. That's a factor.
That's kind of critical.
All right, I'm gonna have to stop all this real quick. So we need to get back on track.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, Yang sees the Ursa. Well, RWBY sees the Ursa first. Or is
Well,
it
no,
Yang?
Yang sees it
No,
because
Yang sees it,
we get
Yang
like a little exchange with RWBY and Yang, and then RWBY uses her semblance to escape, and I guess face plants a tree or something.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
hit her
pretty much.
head or something, maybe. Or
She
maybe
didn't
like-
have a good landing strategy.
Yeah, it was not fully
I
explained.
really wished we would have
I-
saw her just face plant a tree. That would have been hilarious. That would have been
That would
that
have been
That
hilarious.
would have made it worth it.
My thought was that she got like smacked by the Ursa or something like that, but I don't actually know what happened. So
Yeah, then the Ursa comes in, Yang throws down with it for a little bit. She gets knocked around. So on first glance, I was like, why is she fighting better than she does in any of the previous volumes? Upon second and third viewing, I was able to see, like, it's not that she's that the animation and choreography have improved. Like, her actual, like,
Yeah.
techniques and fighting style are very much what they were in the yellow trailer.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, in the yellow trailer, she was a little more evasive and honestly a little smarter. Like I kind of broke down some of the pieces.
She still takes a lot more hits. Like first time I was like, she only took like 1 or 2 hits. Upon second viewing, she was like, I actually did a count and like, no, she got hit a lot. She got hit a lot, and she let herself get hit.
Yang is kind of the tank of the group, in all honesty.
Yeah, she has to be the tank.
It just wasn't. It just wasn't that Dragon Ball Z stuff. Even though they did completely like rotoscope a scene from Dragon Ball Z at the beginning of the fight.
I was just happy with like the aerial combinations there.
Yeah.
Like, I was seeing a little bit of good
But yeah. If anybody else was wondering why Yang flew across the ground towards the Ursa, it's because they rotoscoped Goku's first punch against Frieza.
But Yang
Dragon Ball Z references.
Yeah.
You'll see that in my review. I will show that.
Just chalk one up there. Just go. Oh, there you go. And then Yang takes a hit. Like I don't think it depletes her aura, but like it gets flared up pretty darn good.
Well, no, she basically gets into its mouth.
Yeah, she gets chopped on pretty much. Well, she throws herself into the bear's mouth.
Yeah, it's basically like it looked like her aura went kaput, but it's like flaring. Like you see that energy like kind of flare and like static. It doesn't mean it's actually gone. It's like
critical.
It means that it's depleted.
Are you sure it's ours?
Yeah.
Unless it's. I thought it was more like the like how like Nora and Ren's was, where it's just like.
Well, they were depleted too, but they didn't get hit again after that.
Yeah.
And that is another thing there that we see that old flaw of Yang's in that she relies on her semblance essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, she dove into its mouth and tanked that hit so she could beat it. And this time it ends up working, but we do see later on that it won't always work. So
yeah. But here's the thing: didn't they just say that once your aura runs out, you can't use your semblance?
So that seems like a plot hole, but there is actually an explanation in that because Yang's is actually a passive semblance. Her semblance was already activated from the hit, like before her aura depleted.
Yeah.
And her semblance doesn't just go away just because, like, she still has that strength built up.
Okay, I'll buy that.
We'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yeah, that just.
But okay. I mean, that's basically the Yang trailer. I mean, she kills the bear, she kills the Ursa. She says that she'll always be there for RWBY.
I love the parallel between that and the white trailer.
Yeah. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you didn't. Okay, so that was awesome. I really appreciate that because one thing is, this is the reason why I was so upset that we didn't get the Yang trailer earlier. Is that it was pretty good and like the animation and the fighting looked great. It looked better than a lot of the fighting has recently, and more importantly, it definitely stuck with the themes that they did this volume for the trailers, and that it's all the flashback based thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool, and I like that, and I like that both of them are really centered upon each of the girls and somebody else. So with Weiss, it's Weiss and Winter. With Blake, it's Blake and Ilya. And they're both like mentors to all of them. So Blake, it's Blake and Ilya, and Yang, it's Yang. Well, maybe not mentors. Yang's being a mentor for RWBY, but you get the picture. And I love the juxtaposition of where Winter says, I'm not always going to be there to protect you. And Yang says, I'm always going to be there to protect you. There's no way that's on accident. And
especially since there's the... Yeah.
And of course I'm gonna edge toward I'm gonna side with Winter here. That Winter's more correct and being more helpful actually, because she did much more in the long term. She did a much better job of actually training Weiss, whereas Yang was like kind of helping RWBY, and then she just had to do everything for her and said, don't worry, I'll always be here for you. It's like, no, that's bullshit. That's
I kind of
isn't that called a smothering?
Yeah.
I mean, I always kind of got the feeling that more than RWBY needs Yang, Yang needs RWBY to need her. Like that. That's kind of Yang. That's kind of, like I said, it's Yang's like one consistent motivation. It's like what has driven her to do things the way she does is because of protecting RWBY. So, with that fact established, Why Raven?
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint. That's honestly a bigger complaint even than the fact that we didn't get the Yang trailer earlier, because like that's just they're so stupid. Why is she going after Raven? Like we established
or at least
the way that means we can't trust the show, to be honest, because they established that she went a certain they established that she went a certain direction, which was obviously implied that she was going toward Haven and not toward the Bandit tribe. So why is it that she's looking for? Why are they acting like she's looking for Raven?
I have a theory. I have a theory about that.
Real quick pause. So now we're actually talking about the show proper. So we're moving from Yang trailer. Now we're at the Yang segment of this show.
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to add about the Yang trailer before we dive balls deep into this?
We should have gotten this way sooner, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, back to the issues of Yang going to Raven. But I feel that there's I'm gonna finish real quick, and then I'll give the floor to Robert real quick.
Sorry.
I feel that once we see what Yang's like actual goal is, we've kicked around ideas of what her reasons of going to her is, but we don't necessarily know until like she's actually like, "Hi, Mom," and Raven's like, "Who are you again?" All right, it's your turn, Robert.
So I will say, so this is kind of one of those things. Is she doesn't specifically say that she's going after Raven in like the segment of the show, but she doesn't say she isn't, and like it. So like that's the whole issue, is that we've got these conflicting context clues in here that like last volume, the whole reason she decided to put on the new arm and start training was because of RWBY. The whole reason she decided, like we see her heading in what we think is the direction of Mistral towards RWBY, and then in the Yang trailer, we get this scene of her interacting with RWBY, but then in this episode, the guy, like they bring up Raven and she doesn't say she's not going after her, and then she goes out and the guy says, "Hey, you should look out for those bandits," and she doesn't say she's not going after the bandit, and then the guy says, "Hey, I see you're looking for someone," and so it's heavily implied now that she's going after Raven. So either way, we have been deliberately misled by the show. Either we've been misled just for the last week, or we've been misled for almost an entire year now. Either way, it's like you said, it makes it hard for us to trust the show.
Well, to be honest, we talked about this on the previous kind of cast like that. It's like, media, your words yourself. You know, it's like search. Like we know we're going for them. They're going to find the other. Did you just leave already?
But this isn't even that. This is she's going after who she's going to run into. Because based on what we see in the trailer, she's clearly going to she's going to be with Raven. So that's what's pissing me off. I don't mind that she ends up with Raven. I mind, basically what Robert said, like the show very clearly implied that she was going after RWBY. Like you'd have to be stupid not have thought that she was going after RWBY.
I think it's more of a matter of convenience is why she's changing. So it's like, oh, this is going to be a short detour.
And maybe she is changing her mind, and maybe that's what's going on, but it doesn't...
But they haven't... They need to explain that, and there's a good chance they won't. Hopefully they will, but still, this is not the best way to go about it, though. The show, if you're going to write a show properly, like, this is a legitimate complaint that this is not how you do that. This is a
show don't tell kind of thing. Like,
if they were going to have her changing her mind, then she would have said, "Don't worry, I'm not going after a Raven yet." And then when he says, "Hey, look out for those bandits," she'd have said, "Don't worry, I'm not going after her yet." But then the guy says, "Hey, I hear you're looking for someone." So then it's like, oh, okay, this opportunity presented itself first, so she decided to go after Raven instead because it's on the way apparently, or. Yeah.
So I have a couple theories. So one that I just thought up a few hours ago is so we know that most of this episode takes place between the final scene of volume 4 and the post-credit scene. What if she hasn't even gotten to that crossroad yet? What if she's around the area of Ani Yuri? What if that was Higanbana or something?
I mean, that's actually true. That's a good point.
I don't
Seems
know,
like
maybe
a
they
Western
could bounce
link
around
here.
Because
a little
because
bit.
timelines don't matter. If you establish a timeline, it creates plot holes, right? Right?
Oh god,
Clever boy.
Oh, geez.
stupid fucking Miles.
So
And
the
you guys-
the main theory I had though is that, and this was actually brought up to me by Cameron, who has been on my streams before. He's a little kid I babysit. I took him to the premiere. It was his birthday, and his idea was that Yang, like maybe Yang knows that Ruby is safe in Mistral with Crow and her new team, and so she doesn't like need Yang right this second. But when she does, she's gonna need more than Yang can give, and so so Yang is going to Raven and going to try to convince, and that this whole like plot line is going to be Yang trying to convince Raven to ultimately help Ruby with her goal of saving the world.
Can I reiterate how fucking smart this kid is and how he's smarter than the people that write the show? Can I reiterate that?
And the other thing
Because-
too is
He's
Because
definitely
it's
smarter
true.
than the comment section and the Rooster Cheat website.
Oh, absolutely. He's definitely less of a dick sucker than they are, and he knows that Renora is obvious, and he knows that Lancaster is very heavily implied too. So this kid really knows his shit.
Yeah.
I think the other big thing too is like the thing that we'll get also with Raven. I mean, Yang going to Raven is that she's still trying to get over losing her arm, but then also too she has to get over the fact that of her abandonment issues with her mom. So she needs some sort of closure on that too, also. And we could see, like, especially like once she runs into Raven, which is like it's basically a guarantee now. Is like we
Yeah.
could see like okay, where it's like, oh, I want to leave to go get to Ruby. Raven's like, no, you're grounded. It's like you're not my mom. You can't tell me what to do.
No.
But I
I
mean, getting into like what's actually happened in the episode in that little part. So basically, she stops at like a gas station, and like
A gas station / bar?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not
If
the
you
only
go to
one
New
who thinks that's
Mexico-
weird. Okay, good.
hey, I like the fact that they don't have drinking and driving laws there, so I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. But I don't do it though.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah. So she stops there. She gets something to drink, and then she gets harangued by just a random dude at the bar, and then he gets literally punched out of the arena, and we just assume that his semblance is that he's rubber, and so he just bounces around all over the place.
Yeah, he's a rubber band Bakugo.
Yeah, exactly.
I
He's
thought
actually
I
voiced by
laughed.
Clifford Chapin, who
Yeah.
voices Bakugo. So yeah, Yang just sucker punch Bakugo.
Yeah.
That's where all the budget. That's where all the extra budget gone is the voice acting, which is not a bad place to put extra budget.
I mean, and there's as much as like it's annoying, as much as it's annoying that she decided to go after Raven. Now they could explain that, but it's really not the biggest complaint if we had to complain about things because
We're getting
like
to your
that-
complaints.
I like that she's going to end up with Raven. I think High Power and I have wanted that like very.
I mean, I kind of called it like she's going after
Yeah,
Ruby, but she's gonna run into Raven first.
So I think we're fine with that. I think what the end result is going to be fine either way. Also, I'm so fucking happy that they actually had her shaking again and had to calm herself down.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They haven't forgotten that because I'm just so glad they established that in the first. Yeah, I'm just to like calm everybody down. And listen, no, we have not forgotten that Yang still has PTSD issues. We're still going to touch on this. So thank you guys for that at least.
Yeah,
that was so important. So important because I would have bitched about that if they didn't do anything about that.
I really
I
really like how she cracks open the cold one with her thumb though.
Yes, the metal thumb. How she used the metal thumb to pop the top. That was dope. I love that too.
Wanted to do and never got to. Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. There's those two little subtle things, like, and along with other things that happen in this episode, I do appreciate that they are getting better at. That's one of the things that a compliment thing we'll talk about later. That the show just feels more polished, and there's a lot of little details that they've gotten better at.
Yeah.
And
Like
those two are some of them, I would say.
Like it's gonna sound like both in this podcast and in my review, which will be out later in the week, that I'm coming down really hard on this episode, but it was a good episode, and
it was pretty good.
Part of my
It
grievances
was.
is the fact that I paid for 2 tickets to see this, and I already, like, on principle, don't like it when, like, TV premieres are charged for a full price of a movie. Like, that's the biggest thing I complain about Clone Wars for, the Dave Filoni Clone Wars movie. That was just 3 what would have otherwise been mediocre Clone Wars episodes duct taped together and given a wide theatrical release. Like, that's the worst thing Star Wars has ever done outside of, like, maybe the holiday special, but we don't count that.
Holiday special, oh man.
Yeah.
Was it called the holiday special?
Yes.
Or was it called the
yes,
Christmas special?
it was the holiday special because they don't talk about Christmas. It's like Wookiee Life Day or something.
Oh, okay. I've actually never seen it still.
I've only seen reviews of it, like Nostalgia Critic and stuff.
If anyone else has anything to say about the Yang part, I feel we can move on to Weiss next and then on to Blake. Okay, so Weiss's part's real simple. She's still riding along, trying to get to Mistral. I love these one-off characters that we have been getting. They're all good. They're all voice acted well, and they do their role good. Basically, Weiss is along for a ride. They get a radio transmission that I guess a civilian transport is getting attacked by Grimm, and the pilot's like, "Sorry, nothing we can do," as he just turns off away from it. And then you could tell that like a part of Weiss is like dying about this, but then he's like, "It's my ship, it's my rules." Because like, in all honesty, like, I feel like if this was something that happened in like Volume 2, they would have been like did some weird contrived way of like convincing the pilot to like turn in and go fight. It's like, "Oh no, it's okay, I could fight him." But like now it seems like it's a little more ground in the pilot's like, "Nope," it's like, "You paid me," it's like, "But I ain't doing this."
Yeah, well, the Grimm have gotten way more like violent.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. It's subtle stuff, and that's what we'll get to also. But that's basically what happens. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about.
It's
kind of felt for Weiss too, because she's like, as she said, she wants to be a huntress. She is like, she's training to be a huntress. Like, it's in her heart, and not to like. That's the worst thing, is to have the ability to save someone and not be able to.
And I also think that in previous volumes, Weiss probably wouldn't have been the one. Well, yeah, Weiss probably wouldn't have been the one to speak up and say, "We're going to help them," right? And also, she wouldn't have been apologizing for like inconveniencing someone. So I think that's a nice little thing of like her growth and her development. But also, we get that bit of realism from the pilot when he says, "This is a cargo ship. I can't do anything." And stuff like that. So,
which is completely understandable.
I just like that
flying tin can. Anything can penetrate its armor.
I just like that we got a character whose sole motivation is money.
Money and not wanting to die.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
that's a really shallow motivation, but you know what? It's a lot of people. It's a lot of actual real people's motivation. So I always appreciate having minor characters who are just like in it for the money. Like, that's what I like about a lot of Spider-Man's villains, is that so many of them are just like, "Dude, I gotta pay rent."
I appreciate how straightforward that scene was. And it's another one of those, like, just a couple subtle things that just are making the show better. Of like what Robert said, we're seeing Weiss's continued growth of being a little bit more humble, trying to actually help people, caring about the pilot a little bit as well. As we've talked about, Weiss is my favorite individual character on the show, largely because of last season. So I like seeing that. And I like seeing just a straightforward minor character that, and there's like Hyper said, no bullshit. Like, they didn't come up with some complicated reason for why she didn't run into Grimm or something like that. Just make it obvious. That's fine. So that's a good scene. Yeah. There's not really anything else to talk about.
It's okay to hit the audience over the face with real obvious stuff, though, as long as it's like simple and it makes sense.
Yeah, like Renora.
And then exactly. And now we're on to Lake's part of the show.
Which surprisingly didn't piss me off very much.
So
I mean, the whole plot still doesn't make any sense, but
I mean, they didn't really add anything to make it work.
Congratulations, you didn't fuck it up further.
That's the best Blake can do.
This is basically they come back from like a council meeting or whatever, because I guess there's councils everywhere. There's councils everywhere in the world of Remnant. And they're like, "Look at all this damning evidence we have," and they're like, "We don't care." And
we don't see any of this. We
don't see this.
About
It all happens
afterwards,
off screen.
that pisses me off.
Yeah, that's what I was mad about the entire time. I was like, but I didn't get to see this.
I think
we should have seen that.
Yeah.
That's really the biggest complaint with that scene.
Yeah,
although it was still funny though. It's kind of a funny scene at the beginning. Though.
Yeah, like I like how for some reason like Callie's looking at Sun and Gear. It's like, wait a minute, they're on the same page. What happened to my husband?
Now, and I'm pretty sure that shot is the first time we've ever gotten like a shot of Callie without anybody else in the frame, and it's only for like a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just popped up now.
Yeah,
that shot.
I mean, that exchange happens, and then I say Yang, and then Blake is like, okay, I want to like chill out, and then speaking of another one-off character, my harem of brown anime women increases daily.
It's getting good. Was it excellent?
Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
They added 3 in just this first episode / trailer. High Powered gets 3 new brown anime girls, and they're good. They're good, man. They are good. I'm not gonna lie.
That feel when one of their new character designers has the same kinks as High Powered.
Oh man,
right?
It feels good. It feels real good. So basically, the guard leaves, and then Ilya shows up, which adds to the incompetency of
everyone in the show.
Everyone in the show. And I don't know what happened to Ilya's voice actor, but it sounds like she smoked a carton of cigarettes before she
sounded like that in Volume 4 too.
I don't know.
She always kind of sound like this.
Like, I feel. Here's the thing with Ilya though, is whenever it comes to like Ilya's interaction with Blake, like Ilya wants to do what she's doing, but she's hesitant to do what she's doing because of like her relationship with Blake. Because it's safe to assume that that Adam and Ilya were Blake's friends before like she left the White Fang. So like they were like the precursor to like Team RWBY, pretty much. And I mean, they basically just say like, "Oh, we're gonna go to the presses with this," and then she's like, "It's not gonna work. We own the presses." They'll be like, "Haha, it's fake news. Get out of here, kid."
I mean, if there's one thing if there's another thing I complain about this scene, it's a Blake scene, so of course I found something else to complain about. Why is she stupid enough to tell Ilya what she's gonna do?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Well, then Ilya does the same too also. Like, Ilya's basically...
they're pretty open with it. Pretty open.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they already just had that council meeting where they pretty much showed their entire hand, and now it's just... Now the only thing that they have left now the only thing they can possibly do with that information is just tell as many people as they can.
That scene could have been really good if we saw it. I think it would have told us a lot more, which would have
about the power of the White Fang, and maybe who's on whose side. Like, is there a power struggle between Fang and Adam? We don't know.
What Game of Thrones is going on right now?
It would have negated the need for this scene entirely, to be honest. Not that this scene was terrible. The Sun Gira Callie thing was funny. But the Ilya Blake scene, like, it didn't really add anything more from what we already knew, and especially considering what we already knew from the trailer, which the Blake trailer was actually good.
Weiss, that animation was like the worst. The animation in the Blake trailer was the worst of the 3.
Yeah, but
a lot of that, and I kind of called it when they showed off the new character outfits at RTX, not this last RTX, but the RTX before that. When they first showed off all the new character designs, I was like, there is no way Blake's outfit looks good in motion.
Yeah, that's true.
There's no way that they do like really good fight scenes with that freaking trench coat and those leggings.
I like it static. I like
the leggings because of the thigh gap.
You're not wrong.
But no, I mean, I don't know if there's that much else to say about Blake because her story is still the shittiest out of all of them by far. This did nothing to help it. It didn't really make it worse, but they did miss a major opportunity. So in a way, now that I think about it, they did kind of make it worse because they missed a great opportunity to have a really good scene, which would have been the council. There is slight outside chance they may flash back to it, which would be fine, but I just don't expect them to do it because I don't believe in the writers that much. So,
It would have
yeah.
been nice to have that scene, but I
It
guess
would have been really
that council scene in the first episode, like with the volume, or
we
too much of a pattern.
I feel like we're gonna get a lot of council cock blocking this entire episode. It's like we want to go out and go do something cool. Sorry, council's got to pass a bill for the funding. It's got to get out of like the subcommittee and then the committee. Then both houses have to vote on it.
God damn!
Is this just
guy
in the council
is
has
this
to
just gonna
sign
be?
it off?
Is it just gonna be Star Wars Episode 2 and 3?
Oh gosh, no.
Because that's what it sounds like. I want it to be Bossing Say. I don't want it to be Star Wars prequels.
I mean, I'll tell you this right now. Whatever comes to Blake's
because we
part,
got Ironwood. Ironwood's got council shit going on. We got the Blake's story's got council shit going on, and we got the fucking Ranger bullshit council stuff going on. It's fucking Star Wars. God damn it, Star Wars.
Space
I wanted Bossing Say.
It's Space Bossing Say.
all right, I'm gonna have to filibuster this conversation because now
Ranger time.
Now we get into the meat of the subject, which is Ranger time. So
yeah.
I'll say this right now. Like the only really jarring thing that like so basically like Crow and Team Ranger do a whole bunch of walking. They take an elevator ride. They go to the school. The school's empty. They run into Lionheart. Lionheart almost dies of a heart attack. And hopefully his health insurance covers it, or at least someone there knows how to do CPR. And then they discuss.
Nora's basically a living defibrillator, so.
This is true.
Clear.
This is true. Oh god, I actually kind of hope they actually do something like that, like someone's like
awesome.
dying, and they use their powers like that. So
they did that with Neptune and Chibi.
Yeah, and so Team Ranger and Lionheart talk. They make a plan. They leave, and then it becomes obvious that I'm just gonna say right now that Lionheart's basically a double agent.
Yeah.
And then
well, we knew that from last volume.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it's even more confirmed now. Then Oscar runs into Crow at the bar.
That scene looks
We
familiar.
see the volume 4 post credit scene again.
Yeah, this scene happened before, and then Oscar runs back into Team Ranger, and then
dashing my hopes and dreams forever.
Yeah. And then we get Crow stumbling in drunk, and that's basically the end of the episode. And then we get the opening, and then we get the OP for the volume.
Yep.
So let's just get the negatives out of the way real quick first. So I'll be real frank. The 2D whole little cutscene part was extremely jarring.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Wasn't one of the reasons why they switched to Maya so that they didn't have to use shortcuts like that to do crowd shots?
Yeah.
I mean, if they were complaining about, if they were like, say, we don't have the models for these or something like that, it's like just use.
They randomly for crowd shots. They randomly generate models. That's like how you do crowd shots in Maya. It's
Also,
like it takes rendering. It takes rendering time, but it doesn't take a lot of programming time.
I honestly think here's my honest opinion of why they did this, because the reason, okay, hold on. The actual 2D shots did not look terrible themselves, obviously.
Yeah,
because
they were fine.
Overall, like if you see from World of Remnant, which is overall shit, RWBY's 2D animation sometimes looks better than their 3D animation. Sometimes the art style for it looks really good.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
There was one shot. I'll get to it when I do my rant.
The point is, so they actually were very polished looking 2D shots, which makes me think that it was not a budget concern. It was not a time concern. It was, they actually thought that would look better. Yeah. That's my concern. That's what I think. I think they were just being fucking stupid, and they actually thought that was not going to be jarring for some reason. That it would be like artistic to do it that way, or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, they probably prototyped it, and they're like, "Screw it, let's just do the whole thing." Okay, speaking of another thing, so we could finally get the LGBT community to be quiet.
No, it'll never happen.
No, you can't.
We
No, you
had
can't.
we had our representation in that screenshot with
Yep,
the,
there
with
it
the
was.
guy holding the heart-shaped bamboo shoot with the other dude.
Yep,
There
there it
we go.
was.
Done.
But my character's not the protagonist. You're in the wrong.
So now before we get flamed on for that, let's move past the whole 2D shot there. So
Well,
Well,
just two things. One, if that was going to be enough to shut up Tumblr, then the Scarlet thing in Volume 3 would have been. Second off, the shot with the line where Ruby's like geeking out about weapons and you can only see like a couple
one
generic
stall
looking
with, like,
swords.
a few weapons.
One stall with
That
some crappy swords.
shot that like that entire sequence
Yeah.
like already like infuriated me, but that was just like that's not even a good use of the 2D animation. Like
I know. When she said that, I was like, wait, where are the weapons? Then I found out like the corner. I was like, oh, okay, there they are.
Yeah, it's just
They're
the
not
weapons
even
stolen
good
from-
weapons.
It's just the
They're
weapons
just-
stolen from Kuriyuri.
Yeah, they just look like shitty swords.
And then also, something else I noticed about these 2D shots is we get some like two very specific shots of some very happy-looking faunus, even though the trailer would lead us to believe that like the White Fang has some major beef with Mistral. So we're kind of having that problem, still having that problem that the show has had since pretty much like Volume 1, that the White Fang does not feel justified in any way in what they're doing, except Ilya. So yeah, just that bit of frustration there.
well, Atlas was always like the bigger like racism thing.
Yeah.
Like geography wise, like Vacuo would seem like the least racist, and the Mistral should be like the second least racist because they're right there next to Menagerie.
And we throw that word around in quotations too, also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Broadly speaking.
And
What's
then,
the only other complaint, really big complaint I can think of that we have left would be Osktard, right?
Oh well, I did also have the.
I feel we should talk about Oscar once we actually like get to him, but we will talk about Oscar. So basically, this then rolls into whenever they run into Lionheart. But basically, the school's empty, and then they're all like, "This is suspicious. Suspicion level rising. Okay, now we're on alert." And then we get that really good like exchange where Crow kicks down the door, and then Lionheart
That was
just
great
collapses
how
over and dies. And then I don't understand why Crow fell over. Was Crow falling over because this is just like an inside joke that they have between them? Like if he scares him, like, oh, I'll just play along too.
Because he was standing on one foot.
No, he was standing on one
he's the
foot
Scarecrow.
and
Was he already
fell
drunk?
backwards. He's always drunk.
Okay.
He's always drunk.
He's always drunk.
But yeah, I did. Yeah, I really liked Lionheart, and I liked that beginning. Like that was very like that was the scene where I was.
That's a good establishing
immediately
shot.
saw the cowardly lion in that, and
Yeah.
I was like, awesome, perfect, great.
Well, his voice actor really sells it too. Also,
Yeah,
So,
that's the future.
Yeah, no.
Frieza.
If we have one thing good, if we have one definite positive about this episode is basically everything about Lionheart, from his design to his voice actor to how I find him a believable. Like he's basically the way I described him earlier is he's the Earth King. If the Earth King knew that the Dai Li was evil the whole time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to be like help the Dai Li, but that's the only option he really has. That's basically what I'm getting out of Lionheart
I think
right
there
now.
might be some like genuine motivation to side with Salem though.
I think the
There might
only
be.
And I'll get to that in like the thing that keeps this episode from being a bad episode. Scene.
There's another little small line that Crow says to Lionheart, which I really like, is how like basically Lionheart's been out of communication. So in all honesty, Lionheart could have been working for Salem and Company for a reasonable period
a
of
long time.
So
I don't think so.
Look
I don't
the
think
other
so.
way when-
I don't think so.
I don't know. I think maybe he could have looked the other way on like Cinder and Mercury and Emerald's like applications or something like that, maybe. But yeah. Yeah, and I like that.
I think with his personality type, he was going to accept anyone. Like he doesn't, like maybe he's really lax when it comes to background checks.
Yeah.
because he just wants as many people on deck as he can. And to talk about like the one like legitimately good scene in this episode, there's a couple okay scenes, but the one like legitimately great scene in this episode was Lionheart talking about something that should have been talked about last volume, which was the actual like worldwide fallout of the fall of Beacon, and how Mistral got hit really hard with the Grim, and a lot of huntsmen died. Gee, it's almost like not just any huntsmen, but like experienced teachers, possibly
because
students,
they were spread just to the sheer number
civilians
of Grim that were coming in. Yeah,
but like one that kind of clears up like why the Nuklavi was still alive, and two, like that establishes a possible motivating factor for Lionheart, which is if Salem is in control, this bloodshed will stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ozpin's method did not work. It failed spectacularly.
As we're all sitting there thinking to the Fat Man falling and Celtic Phoenix stuff, it's like, man, people would probably feel a lot safer if we had like superhero like people running around to fight for us.
I mean, that's what I did. That was like a major plot point in RWBY on Veil, was RWBY like finding out just all the stuff that Ozpin had been hiding and punching him in the face and saying you had no right to keep this from everyone. Like that was a major plot point towards the end of RWBY on Veil.
What was it that I said about he's a shitty version of Dumbledore?
Yeah.
That he's a shitty version of Dumbledore. I think that was just it.
He's a shittier version of Dumbledore. Like at least with Dumbledore, like you can kind of understand and there's human flaws as to why he kept things from Harry. You can understand why he did what he did. He's just such a more rounded character. With Dumbledore,
you could actually make the argument that he probably should have kept a little more from Harry. Would have kept his head from getting too big.
And
Lionheart,
exactly, and Lionheart or not, and as the thing with Ozpin is like this is. I know I'm jumping the gun, but this is again why Ozpard shouldn't even exist in the first place, because Ozpin's a really shitty character and shouldn't have been brought back. The students would be so much better off without him. But
Lionheart definitely feels like he's kind of doing what Ozpin should have been doing better than Ozpin did. Like he's Ozpinning better than Ozpin did.
That's kind of a recent theme, because that's what Ironwood's doing too. And even if Lionheart and Ironwood don't see eye to eye, they at least both seem to agree that Ozpin was wrong.
They're doing something about it. Unlike Ozpin, felt very, very passive. Yeah.
We'll just throw a maiden at it and a bunch of school kids at it. The problem will solve itself. Something will stick on this wall. I promise, TM.
You know what Ozpin also is? Ozpin's a shitty version of King Boomy. He takes the doing nothing thing way too far. Did you guys remember that episode? Sorry, my bad. That's too extreme a reference.
But
it's Avatar. It's not obscure at all.
I mean, there's
that's true.
Basically, the conversation goes on. They drop us the knowledge bomb that basically all the relics are locked in a magic box, and that magic box can
Speaking of things from RWBY on.
Yeah. And the magic box can only be opened by the Maiden, and so the one that's in Mistral is the Spring Maiden, and it's the relic of knowledge. So Media brought this up, and he makes an extremely fair point where it's like we were all kind of like, we really hope the Maidens aren't important. And so now it basically just turns the Maidens to like basically a disposable key. So like they are important, but they're only important in like a very.
Well, and I always said that like the Maiden should never be portrayed. That the Maiden should have never been said to be invincible, because one, it doesn't line up with what we're shown, with the Maiden getting wrecked by 3 people, 2 of which had never even stepped into a Huntsman Academy.
Well, you'd assume Mercury was like a trained assassin.
Well, Mercury, but Emerald's just a street rat.
The only reason why she was useful is because of like her very
semblance.
Yeah.
Which man, Cinder got lucky with that.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, like, their magic is just doing dust stuff without needing dust. Like, and I like that. I wish it would kind of stay that, because it makes it like seem really powerful, but at the same time also like tangible, to where you can kind of see someone that's not a maiden standing a chance in a fight with them. It just helps like balance everything out. But as far as kind of same thing with the relics, I think the relics should be. I don't know. I don't know how powerful the relics should be.
Yeah, you kind of wonder about. Yeah. You assume that they're pretty.
The rubber cut out.
Sorry, no, I was saying go ahead. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think it's kind. I don't know if it's a retcon, but it kind of is that they are establishing what the maidens
it's
are. It's
definitely something that wasn't thought up until Volume 5.
Until Volume 5.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was on the cutting room floor of Volume 4.
No, because go back to Volume 3. Like, how did or actually just go back to Volume 4. Like Salem, in Volume 4, Salem was still looking for the relic, even though Cinder was with her. So if they would have found the vault or whatever that was in, how were they expecting to open it? And if Cinder already opened the vault and it wasn't there, how did Ozpin open the vault and get it out of there beforehand? And where's the relic?
Because he already
unless they're kind of misleading us as to which relic is in which kingdom.
That's what I thought about that.
Maybe.
What if
joke's on you? It's in Vacuo.
No, what if the relic of knowledge was in Veil,
and that's why the spring maiden.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Actually, my theory is that the relic that was in Veil was never in the vault, and Ozpin has it in his cane still.
I would still totally buy that.
That's honestly what I still think it is, because that's Ozpin still fucking with everybody else too much again. But either way, like I said, so this is an example of what I said earlier, that there are retcons that they are doing, but I'm happy with them overall, even though they're retcons, because they do improve the future prospects of the show. And reducing the usefulness of the maidens to just fucking keys is really, really good, actually, because there's way too much going on in the show. And reducing the maidens, at least, that's fucking fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I want to bring up
and it helps to centralize things, because now it's not like because now it's not like we got to protect the maidens and we've got to protect the relics. We got to protect the ball. It's like, no, we have to protect the maidens to protect the relics. That's a good idea.
It still does not excuse a much needed talk, because they didn't ask about the relics or the maidens. They asked about the silver eyes.
We didn't learn anything about that either.
Well, not like the gag I did in my review. Like, so what does that have to do with me?
No.
It just goes off on a bunch of stuff not related to RWBY at all, unless RWBY is actually a maiden and we just whatever.
So there's a few points that happen in this episode that I like, especially like with the interactions with the characters. So first of all, I like how Nora breaks the fourth wall like 3 different times, and like Nora basically like is like almost nullifies Volume 4.
That actually really pissed me off.
She also was like, "Man, is this going how we all expected it would?" And like that's literally they're talking to the audience whenever they drop that line.
My answer was like, yeah, kinda.
Nora was amazing this episode. Oh my god, I'm so happy.
The other thing too is like, John asks about like Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald. That was a dead end, and then we see that he gets like visibly upset about that too.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's
like clenching his fist. He doesn't let go till he actually leaves the room.
Also, I like how RWBY is being a little more proactive in this episode than she was in a lot of Volume 4, because like I was completely fine with RWBY getting sidelined a bit in Volume 4, because I think leading into Volume 4, she was character progression wise, she was way further than anyone else. Now everyone else has kind of caught up to her, maybe even surpassed her. So now it's time for her to step back up again, and she did.
I feel that the big thing too is that how RWBY wants to be like. RWBY's not a dumb character, but I feel that she realizes that she needs to take a more proactive part in what's going on. She's not completely in the dark, which I still feel that like Crow and Lionheart are still keeping some like, and especially Ozpin are probably keeping some forms of information away for her. So like it hopefully she figures out, and like it's in her best interest to be like, I need to know what's going on because this could kill me.
Yeah.
I need to know. The other thing that I really like too also was that Lionheart basically brought up where it's like, oh yeah, we were training the Spring Maiden, and she ran away. She couldn't handle the pressure,
and she fell into Raven's gang.
And she fell into Raven's hands. Which I'll be honest, like,
really makes me think that Raven does have the relic of knowledge.
Yeah,
and that they're about to screw everything up by looking for her.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too.
Which is exactly what happened in the Ba Sing Se arc. Is what they try to do, they fucking fail at it, and I'm fine with that. So that's good. I'm totally good with that.
Well, I like the idea too. Also, like this is probably something that's like happened to other maidens too. Is like where they try to train up like a maiden, and then they're like, "No, I don't want to do this. I'm just gonna ghost out of here. Peace."
They find out like just how much Ozpin is keeping from them. Like,
I mean, look what happened to Aang and Avatar. Look what happened to Aang and Avatar.
Oh yeah, I think Avatar is a really good.
Avatar.
One of Avatar's strongest points that doesn't get talked about enough is how they handle like the whole destiny thing in Avatar, and how like you don't tell a 10-year-old kid that the entire world is relying on them. That you just don't put that kind of pressure on someone.
Yeah, that's not going to work out. So,
I think
that's
kind of what happened to Amber too. That she was young and inexperienced and stuff like that. She was new to her power, so yeah, that maybe she was a little reluctant.
Yeah. She might have still been in like the honeymoon phase. We're like, man, this is great.
Yeah, exactly. She wasn't ready yet. I mean, it's good. I know. I think that's a nice. Again, that's another one of those little subtle detail points that they're getting better at pointing out and doing. Which makes the show just feel
this character before she appears.
It makes the show make more sense. We don't have to question as much of what they're doing per episode. Because I remember even last volume, which was much better than the previous volumes, we're still like, well, why did this happen? But why did this happen? But what about this? Like, we have complaints, but like one of our biggest complaints so far was about the 2D animation thing. It's not about like how things make sense or not. For the most part in this episode, things have made sense at least. We're
not even complaining about the whole bouncing thing. Scene. Like that's just comedic effect.
That was just funny.
Yeah, that's
and I would definitely be more fine with that if this character ends up being like a recurring character and that's like a running gag with him.
Yeah, I'd be great with that.
Is that like part of his power is that he actually is like a rubber band, like his semblance is actually like just ricocheting around, like what's his face from One Piece that was in that like one little bit with the spring legs.
I know.
I mean, just think about how useful that would be to fight.
I don't
got
remember
hit
his
really
name.
hard. I just bounce off of it and I'm fine. Like, okay, so this is something I just kind of can't research. So, especially since we're talking about like the Maiden cracking under pressure, like this kind of gives ideas to also like of why like this could also probably gives more understanding of why Raven left high, because for all we know, Team Stark was basically Ozpin's hit squad.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I feel we've pretty much talked about this. I mean, we gotta let's praise Lionheart a little bit, and then
Well,
we still got the Oscar stuff.
Yeah, that's what's next. That's the last thing to talk about is the Osctard.
Oscar meeting Team Ranger, RWBY reading comics. I can only assume that she's watching My Hero Academia.
They had actually I think there was actually a line there that said like Crow and Raven are pretty much evenly tied. Like they are the same power.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, I like that they established that.
Scaling.
Again, another.
I want to see it. I don't want to be told that. I want to see that though. I want to see that fight.
I know. You expect
fight each other to a standstill. Yeah.
That's the thing, though, is they probably just know each other so well that like they know every trick that they have in their bag. So like it's like.
Yeah.
It turns into like that scene in Princess Bride where it's more focused on the dialogue than the actual like fighting.
They're just playing the pronoun game.
Like they're just clashing blades. They're just like not even like into it, and they're just chatting.
No. I am not left-handed either.
No. What the fight scene actually turns out to be is the Samurai Jack part where it's Samurai Jack on Aku. It's like, I hid the sword because I knew that you would cheat, so I hid it. And then it's like, I knew that you knew that I would know. And like it literally goes like that.
Or it could be the Samurai Jack episode where he fights the. It's like, but my magic sword should have broken your sword. I have a magic sword also. So.
But I mean, like outside of like, okay, we know that Lionheart's a traitor and like voice acting's great. And then also we know now that Watts is Hacker Man, which kind of like
we already knew.
Which we already knew, and we assumed we guessed pretty darn right on that. I like Watts being Hacker Man. I also would like Watts to have like the iPhone X that is able to work without the CCTV.
That would fix so many plot holes from Volume 4. You don't even know.
Yeah, and that would because that would just be like an easy hand wave away. Like, oh, this is how he handled
that would fix every single time Adam is mentioned in Volume 4.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think one of the big things we can take away from this episode is, even though there are some complaints about it, and I think like what High Power and I said is that on second and third viewings, our opinions of this episode increased a lot, and a lot of that I think is because what they're establishing is really exciting. I think, even though the episode itself wasn't like super amazing or super exciting, there were some problems.
There's no fight scene forced in just for the sake of having a fight scene.
Yeah, that's great. I love that they were ballsy and that they were smart.
The closest thing to a fight scene was basically just grab hand, slow motion punch. Yeah, bouncing around like a pinball. Bing, 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 bing.
But we have so many things established that are really good, like the whole Lionheart.
Which is why the fandom's gonna love this episode, like way more than anybody who is remotely critical of the show, because a lot of this fandom don't really care about the flaws or even like necessarily the fight scene. They just care about they just want information. They just care that information is getting barfed at them. A lot of the fandom liked a much needed talk, even though that episode was garbage.
Yeah, garbage. That episode, but this one's better than that, and I really like the things they're establishing. They're definitely establishing the Boss Thing Stay arc. They're establishing the importance of Raven. They're establishing the where Weiss is going. All those things, like that's all really good. I also am very happy that we see that Weiss is already out of Atlas. Thank fucking God, because I hated the idea.
Well, we kind of already saw that in the trailer. But you know because that's her airship with the floating islands and stuff.
So I like that too. I like the whole Crow is already kind of suspicious of Lionheart, but the kids aren't yet, and
I saw that movement
goes. I like the fact that they're establishing the importance of Raven already. Like where this is going is actually looking very promising, and the fact that they've polished things up enough. I mean, there's complaints, and my biggest complaint is yet to have been addressed yet, which is fucking Lost Hard. But overall, it's still very promising what the direction they're going in. So that's why, especially after having watched this again, and I haven't even talked about all my favorite things about how funny this episode was. We'll get to that later.
This episode was really good. So now it's Drunkle Crow time.
Yep.
So whenever it comes to this scene, so I like how knock on the door and Ren, John, and Nora are like, Who
the fuck are you?
Hoopst is knocking, and then like they're getting more and more suspicious, and then like literally Crow comes in like from John just impaling this kid on his sword, and then he's like, oh yeah, it's like I had to walk your drunk uncle home, and then like literally the first thing.
By the way, nice house, guys.
I cringed whenever Oscar said the silver eyes part.
I did too.
That was
just a little bit.
That was super cringy.
I was like, no, the fandom is bad enough. Please, no.
Oh, I know. The Rose Garden shippers are gonna go crazy. I'm
looking forward to all the Crow X Oscar fanfics that are gonna come from this.
This episode did nothing but prove Rose Garden to be even more impossible because of the fact that he introduced himself as Ozpin. That ship would be so fucking disgusting. That's so disgusting. But the stupid shippers are still gonna go crazy and say that the silver eyes thing.
You have silver eyes.
That's so cute. Fuck you. If you're watching this and you think that's cute, you suck and I hate you.
But I love how RWBY doesn't even freaking register his existence until he says he's Osmond. She's just like,
I do appreciate
can a girl
She's
read
more
comics in
concerned about
peace?
her Korean webcomics.
Yeah. Her collection of hentai.
Yeah. No, it's not even that. It's just a whole bunch of like blueprints of like guns completely. Like it's like that's like where you buy the books of like.
Nah, she would have said Weapon Magazine if that were the case.
Yeah.
She straight up said comic books, which yeah. Now I always see RWBY as being like a big Marvel fan. Like she's reading Captain
like DC.
Yeah,
no.
like she reads Captain America and Spider-Man, but not like post 2000s Captain America and Spider-Man because the Captain America comics have sucked for the last 20 years.
I see her liking Deadpool personally, but
Maybe Punisher.
I think Deadpool has like a lot more like killing.
Can I get on my soapbox real quick and do my Oxtard rant so I can just get it out of my system?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
make myself a drink real quick. I'll be back.
Yeah, because it has to be. Because it has to be said, and you guys can interject here now too, especially because the video makes it easier for people to kind of raise their hand and make a point. But people kept saying, "Oh, just give Oscar a chance. They'll fix him. They'll give him characterization. They'll fix everything."
Nope.
What do you fuckers have to say now? We've had another episode, and he still has absolutely no character whatsoever. They still had more opportunities. They gave him dialogue, and he still managed to not have any character whatsoever. He still has no motivation, no skin in the game, and he manages to deliver his lines with no feeling and no.
I disagree with you on the feeling part. He seemed very timid and like unconfident, which oh god.
If that's the best they can do, that's still pretty shitty. That's all we get. That's all we get. It's he's nervous about walking into a room full of 4 people that have weapons, and with a drunk guy behind him. I mean, who wouldn't be nervous in that situation when he's younger than all of them? That doesn't establish him as more timid than a normal person would be. That doesn't, he's not any different. He's not acting any differently in these situations than anybody else would. Where again, watch the first episode of Avatar. Everybody has their quirks and their motivations laid out within 10 fucking minutes. 10 minutes. And they've had, I don't know how many minutes Oscar's been on screen. I'm not going to count because I don't want to watch 20 to 30 minutes worth of fucking Oxnard. But it's at least twice as much as what they did on Avatar. And there's nothing to him at all. He's still just and I like that in some ways, I like that he introduced himself as, "Oh, my name's Oscar Pine, but you might know me as Professor Ozpin." But I also hate that because it's still all he is an empty vessel for Ozpin, and I don't like that because Ozpin was a fucking idiot, and he was a shittier version of Dumbledore. He was not a very good character in the first place, so why does he have to come back at all? So Oscar still sucks. He's not been improved at all, and I'm open to him being improved. There are characters that I used to hate that I now love. I despised Ahsoka Tano with all my heart in the first 3 episodes she was in. She's my favorite Star Wars character of all time now. So I'm open to liking Oscar eventually, but they have done nothing to fix him in an episode where they've done a lot to improve and retcon things from the past, and they're working on improving things. So overall, a good episode, and it's promising, but still Oscar is shit. Shit, absolute shit.
Hey, dude. You know what I find funny?
What?
You're like, I'm not going to sit there with like 30 minutes of Oscar-related stuff. I'm like, you do realize you always watch the volume, in the entire volume, up to the last finale, all in one sitting?
Yep, I do that.
Yeah.
That includes everything. At least it's not all Oscar, though. Like, at least it's like, it's compartmentalized or whatever. Year 2, like, I don't know how I'm going to do it because it's going to be more than 12 hours. So it's going to be, I can't do it in a row this year because I have to go to work on Fridays. So the last time I did it, I literally came straight home and watched all the way till the episode premiered the next morning. And I won't be able
start
to do
with Volume 4.
I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I'll probably have to watch the first 3 and then do Volume 4 through 5 until the finale. But yeah, whatever.
But yeah, so I mean, like...
But Crow was funny. At least they introduced him with Crow being hilarious. Vic was amazing. Vic saved that. Vic absolutely could. I love the thing. Wait for it. That was great.
I think because the way I interpret that is like is like I have a feeling like Ozpin told Crow that like, oh yeah, I can do this, and Crow's like, nah, bullshit. And then it actually happens. It's like, I'll take another one, another one,
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he got really wasted when he saw Oscar.
He was pre-gaming before he saw Oscar.
Yeah. At least it was funny. That's the only thing that saved it. Is at least that scene was hilarious.
Yeah.
Which is, if we want to move on to it, that's I don't know if there's much more. Well, I mean, I guess, do anybody else have anything to say about Oscar that I didn't already say?
I mean,
you pretty much nailed it.
Yeah. He still has pretty eyes. That's all I gotta say.
The only thing I will say about
his
Oscar,
eyes are the most beautiful in the show, no question. I won't argue that.
His eyes.
I want his character to improve. It's just like, it's kind of like with whole like it feels like we're getting something similar like Blake's arc in Volume 4, where Blake was a shitty kitty for like most of the volume that she showed up. And then she stopped being a shitty kitty, but we had to wait so long for us to get to that point. And I'm worried we're going to be the same way with Oscar, because Oscar right now is probably one of the weakest parts of the show. So
and another fear is that Carrie did say in an interview that he's like, Oscar is becoming one of my favorite characters in the show. And whenever they really like a character, that character is garbage, because they always talk about how much they like Blake. And look how shitty Blake is. They barely mention.
No, what they do is that when they like a character, when they like a character, they write more for them and put them in more scenes, which gives them more opportunities to screw things up, and they do because it's Miles and Carrie, and that's what they do.
Yeah, and they barely mention Weiss and Renor, and those are probably the two best written, consistent storylines that they've done the past couple volumes. Like, and that's not just my Renor bias is there, but let's be honest, that relationship has been done very well. Weiss has been done very well in Volume 4, and they barely mention liking Weiss. It's like all the things that they just think are obvious to happen are the things that they do well, and then when they put too much effort into something and they like them, like, then they suck at it. So it's like, I hope they just keep Weiss and Renor like, oh, they're just obvious, and then they'll actually do a decent job with it, because but it does make me scared for Oscar, because they're like, oh, we like Oscar. Fuck, you guys like Blake. Look how that looks. So that's not promising at all.
Okay, I think unless anyone else has anything to say, I think we could break into the like kind of the final part of our podcast, which is kind of the theorizing and prediction parts. So
theories.
All right, who wants to go first then? How are we doing this?
Robert, you go first, and then after that, if we want to do it, we'll just go in the order in which we have the roll call on the Discord panel, just to keep it simple. But Robert, you're going to start us off. Give me your thesis of this volume, your thesis statement, like university level, like you're applying for your doctorate.
You know, I graduated, right?
oh, cool! Congrats. Wait,
but finally, after forever. But no, so I think what I'm seeing here, a couple of things that I'm theorizing are first of all, my first theory is that the house that Team Ranger is staying in, I think it belongs to one of Crow's sugar mamas.
Dude, that could actually make sense. I could actually funny.
Or it's like the Arc family's vacation home, but I'm sticking with sugar mama for now. But so something that I see happening is that, or first of all, something I think could possibly end up happening in Blake's storyline is that Blake tries to come public with her accusations against Ilya and the White Fang to like the public of Menagerie, and Fennec and Corsock and Ilya end up like turning that against her, turning that around, so that her family is literally forced out of Menagerie and stuff like that. Because she did say to Ilya, "You're gonna have to force me to leave," and she was all like, "I know." So I think that might have been a little bit of foreshadowing of them getting driven out or something like that, maybe, or like becoming pariahs, possibly.
That would be really interesting. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I wonder how they pull that off.
Yeah.
I've got a good idea of how they would pull it off.
The best part about it is that there's actually several ways to do it, and it's not that difficult. So that's a really awesome idea, Robert.
Yeah. And then as far as what I think Ranger's storyline could be going, I think I think there might be a few episodes of Crow kind of training them all up. The opening kind of had that shot of Ren, Nora, and Ruby on the couch, and then Nora dropping down and booping Crow, and Crow just kind of looking at them with like this look of just this no nonsense look. I think maybe that was like meant to imply him kind of sizing them up and getting ready for, okay, we're gonna go through some intensive training to go and get the spring maiden and stuff like that. And so I could see that happening. I also think I could see Ruby and Raven meeting, or maybe, or so basically, I think in some way Raven is going to end up bringing up some kind of conflict between. Is going to end up bringing up some more sort of conflict between Ruby and Yang. Like I could see either Ruby meets her and Raven takes a liking to her, and Raven's all like, "Hang on a second, you like my half sister more than you like me and stuff like that, or you're more of a mother to her than you are to me." Or possibly like Ruby sees that Yang has or is hanging out with Raven and like kind of gets that feeling of you chose your mother after instead of me after all this time that we've had together. I don't know, maybe something like that, creating a bit of conflict there. And with Weiss, I don't know. I'm guessing I'm not entirely sure where that's going. I could see it either like the cargo ship gets attacked and she fends it off and then is on her merry way to Mistral, or possibly like it crashes and she runs into the bandits and kind of has something happen there. So yeah, and then I think Lionheart, I don't know, gonna keep like struggling and being a double agent. So yeah, those are my main theories right now.
All right, dude, it's your turn.
Oh, I'm actually next. I thought it was
on my screen it's me, you high powered, then Dude, then Sock, then Robin.
I'm going with like in the chat, like for how it's stacked up.
In the introduction, I thought we were going in order of the introductions with Robert going first, though. So
okay,
it'd be media.
It's fine. I don't really have much to say other than I do like the whole like Raven and Ruby thing, because we discussed this and like we were testing out these video calls in the first place about how like if like Raven tried like coerce Ruby side that summer get that
you're cutting out there.
Just you're cutting out a bit there, Sock.
Nope, we lost him. He's dead. Kick him from the group. We gotta get this down before the content strikes hit us.
Everybody do the flop. Okay.
Do the flop. Do the flop.
Yeah, that's enough of that. Other than the whole Raven and Ruby thing that we've talked about in excess on a previous call, with the whole like bringing up Summer and that whole thing that Robert talked about, I really just do like it's just I just see like the bandits attacking that cargo ship like with using the Grim as a version of that. That is all I see with Weiss. Other than that, I need more pieces. I can't tie anything together with one episode. Like I need some more pieces. If I get some more pieces, I'll be like,
We've got a lot of what ifs, right?
Yeah, I'm working with.
Yeah, we do.
I'm working with this right now. Like all I have are red dots, but only like this one right here. I need more pieces.
It's a nice visual metaphor right there.
Yes, thank you.
Put your fidget spinner away.
It's not a fidget spinner. It's a fidget sphere.
Okay, whatever you're saying.
But I mean, you're quite positive on the episode overall, aren't you?
Yeah, so, I'm very positive on the episode. I extremely liked it. Like I didn't have too much to complain about anything.
Not as much as I had to complain about it, for example, in media.
Well, you've got your deep-seated this deep-seated dark part that is being smothered by Renora. It's just right there.
Exactly. Renora's keeping the Oscar hate in check. That's for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. But you go ahead, dude. Like I really don't have much to talk about on this.
So it's Dude next?
Yeah. Is it me next?
Yep. No, I don't care. Go ahead.
Okay. I just figured
Dude, then me, and then media.
Yeah, basically media. Reverse order.
Okay.
Whoops.
So there's a couple other things I wanted to point out that I liked. The Renora-ness of this episode is actually quite great. how close they're sitting. Like, somebody pointed out to me first that like it almost looks like Nora's actually like almost touching Ren when they're sitting next to each other. I love. Well, this is one of my favorite things is when they say when RWBY goes, and only one of us almost died, and then like Crow like kind of looks at her. Nora like glares at Ren, which is actually like the fact of the matter is, it's actually not true that only one of them almost died. Technically, two of them almost died because Ren almost died as well. Technically,
3 of them. Nora was out of her aura too. So yeah.
Yeah. So well, because he was
helping Ren. He was
gonna run again, and Nora. Yeah, he almost died twice because when Nora blocked the thing for him, and when she tackled him to stop him from attacking the fucking Nukulave without his goddamn weapons. So I love that she's glaring at him like that. Like that is such like a girlfriend fucking thing to do. So I love that. It's very
I
cute.
saw that. It got a smirk out of me.
Yeah, it was great. I love that. And they were super fun. Nora was hilarious this episode. Like all the people that don't like Nora, I can understand why you don't like her, but you can't hate her after this episode. She was funny. Her and Crow like absolutely stole the show. So I appreciate. And that, along with the humor of the, Yang punching the bouncy, inflatable, bouncy guy, I think I talked about this before with High Powered, right after we saw the premiere. One of the things that makes me very happy about this volume so far in this episode, and something that makes me excited for the future, is that all the little polished things are good, but it almost feels more like a real show when the humor is so much more over the top like it is in this episode. It feels more like an episode of Avatar as the result. Like I said, I like the things they're establishing. They are establishing a very decent Boss Things Say arc so far.
They're front-loading a lot of the story, and it could just be like the middle point of this volume also.
Yeah, and so I like that a lot. And coupled with that is the fact that their humor is much more Avatar-esque in that it's much more like in your face and kind of over the top. Actually, like the jokes are like the Nora saying like, "Is this going the way anybody expected it would?" or whatever she says. Like they're like focused right on her. Like they are really like the jokes are like they're popping them out more. Like Crow's drunkenness is more ridiculous and over the top and funny than ever. Like that makes it feel more like Avatar's style of humor with Toph being as ridiculous and sarcastic as she is, and Sokka being like so animated with his humor. So I really like that. And for the funny thing is that being so over the top with the jokes makes it actually feel more polished and professional and more like a real show. So I really like that, and I like the direction that's going in. Also, thank you, Gray, for basically confirming that Renora is the couple in that in the thing at the premiere. That was great. I'm excited for that. So they better fucking kiss this volume. I'm gonna be really goddamn mad if they don't. And as far as the actual show, besides that stuff, please fix Oscar because he needs it. I hope. Really, what I'm hoping is that it's mostly Crow training him, and that leaves the 4 main, the 4 Ranger to like be the ones exploring and trying to figure stuff out themselves about Lionheart being dishonest. I think that would be really helpful, and I think that would help kind of compartmentalize Oscar. That would be great. I would like that. And I think what High Powered already said earlier about and then Oscar. And then Robert mentioned this too. Raven getting chummy with RWBY would be amazing. I would love that. That would be super interesting. That would throw that dynamic with Yang for a loop. It makes sense with Raven's motivations and her as a character. That would be super interesting. I'd love that. Weiss, I honestly have no idea. I like the direction she continues to be going in, but I really don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where she's going to end up. I do really want her to end up with Winter because I love that relationship. I just want more of them together. That would be amazing.
Snowbird. Give me my Snowbird.
Plus the potential for Snowbird is ridiculous as the age gap is. They don't look like they're different in age. They look like they're the same damn age. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So they look like it. Who knows? They're not, but they look like it. I love as far as Blake, I'm just going to defer to Robert's idea. That would be fucking amazing. It's way better than anything I would have thought of. So that's my hope now. I'm just hoping that what Robert says is right. That would be really cool, and that would sort of expedite everybody kind of grouping back up. And then, yeah, Yang kind of would just relate to the whole RWBY dynamic of Raven trying to get chummy with RWBY would be really interesting. Because I think we've already established in this show that it's not going to take place just in Haven the whole time. They're going to, based on the trailer to the OP, they're going to go to Raven's Bandit clan. So that's something that they're all heading to. And I like that. So that's cool. Overall, besides Oscar, I'm very hopeful for this season. It's actually looking, this is the best first episode they've had since Volume 1 by a long shot. So it's good. I'm happy.
All right. So speaking of Blake and how she and Kira could be like ashamed, like I don't even know what the word be, like what they could use to get her out of, like cause them for the public opinion to sway more in the White Fang's favor is easiest and honest way to do it is be like, oh hey, how could you trust someone that was friends with Weiss, the heiress of the shitty dust company that has been oppressing our people for the longest of time? Like that's the easy solution. It really is.
Was this true? Kind of.
Like that. That's what comes. Like it probably flies over most people's heads. But if you think, like, if you just think about it, it's like, what's the easiest way to throw them all under the bus? It's like,
I get to kill
associate them with the
Blake,
worst person you can think of.
Yeah, this is the easiest way to do it. It's like Blake is friends with Weiss Shani, and you know, like they probably people in Menagerie don't know that Weiss has been like disowned. Well, has lost her inheritance of the company.
There's no way they could know. Yeah,
and she's not a douchebag anymore.
And she's not an asshole anymore. So like, there's no way they would know.
Is here fantastic Volume 4 character arc?
Yeah, and so whenever it comes to that's how I feel like they'll get Blake off of Menagerie or like have her forced out. I kind of like the idea of them like being like exiled from them,
like becoming pariahs, basically.
Basically, the other thing too I look forward to in this volume is I look forward to Hazel's and Adam's White Fang shenanigans.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. I look forward to any potential interaction between Yang, RWBY, and Raven. I really want, assuming that Weiss runs into Winter, I want, and it's safely assumed this that it's a safe assumption that Ironwood doesn't trust. Ironwood is suspicious that Lionheart is not working for them anymore. He's working for Salem. Well, I don't know if you even know who Salem is, but I would assume that they're not working, that their goals aren't the same anymore. And that's why he has Winter in Mistral doing like CIA bullshit there. Whenever it comes to Team Ranger, I hope they don't spend a whole lot of time in Mistral. I look forward to them running into the Bandit clan. I look forward to Yang running into the Bandit clan. I also, like, we say that Yang could take issues with Raven becoming really chummy with RWBY, but I think the other big thing too also is like maybe, and I don't think this was really brought up to also is like, what if Raven treats the Spring Maiden like more like a daughter than she does Yang. And I mean, like, that's the thing too also is like, you gotta understand, like, from her, like, from the Spring Maiden, whenever she left because she just didn't want to handle it anymore, this probably what she wanted was like a mother figure in her life. So that's kind of where I'm thinking with that. It's still too early to tell.
Yeah, we don't know her voice or anything like that. We know what she looks like.
Yeah, we just know what it looks like when she's like a cute, tan, tattooed, short-haired girl. I'm just like...
Just proceeds to stroke here.
But, and I mean, like, we kind of just gotta wait and see. I want Oscar's character to become better, or just at least be like more grounded and more reasonable. Like, I want us to have less reasons to just throw Oscar under the bus 24/7.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like how they front loaded this episode with a lot of story. Like, we don't know if like the whole like trying to capture the Spring Maiden is going to be like the arc of this volume. It could just be like the midway point of the volume. So we honestly have no clue. Some people have seen the second episode of this volume.
Yeah.
If you were able to attend the RTX.
Yes.
Without
spoil, like the only spoilers I've gotten for it are that there are shots from the trailer that are in the second episode, which, you know, you kind of figure that, but which shots?
That's
I know at least one of the shots, or I guess it would be two of the shots because they look like they're from the same sequence.
And something about Salem.
Yeah. We knew Salem was going to be in it regardless.
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's I haven't super spoiled myself on it, but I know here I have asked because like my curiosity is just that.
I asked somebody to spoil it for me and they didn't, which pissed me off actually a little bit.
Look at you, Take.
Yeah, he didn't. He wouldn't tell me. Come on, man.
Oh, he's been lording that over us since he friggin' went to RTX London. Like,
Yeah,
I have seen things.
Pompous British asshole.
Yeah, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like it's a good start to the episode. I hope that they improve Oscar. Like, we're stuck with him.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, so I hope that they can actually get some stuff down with him. It's really like I just want more. Like, just give me more. Like, give me a few episodes in, and I'll like start making like crazy ass predictions like I normally do that are mostly right some of the time. But
no, they're mostly right most of the time.
They're mostly right.
And so, I mean, outside of that, I mean, like, I look forward to 14 episodes of this and 14 podcasts and 2 really long podcasts afterwards.
Yes, exactly.
Can we talk about the episode links now? It's like, oh my lord, we're actually getting decent. Like halfway through, I'm like, we're still.
Yeah,
going?
that's the other thing too. Also, it's like they said that they're aiming for an average of like a minimum of 12 to 13 minutes, like per episode. Like, we're no longer getting like these 10-minute episodes anymore, which I'm glad.
Which they've been aiming for that since Volume 2, but okay, whatever.
That's true.
Yeah. But I mean,
at least this one at least hit a decent length.
Outside of that, I mean,
this might be on the whole the longest episode yet. Although, take out the recap thing from the post credit scene from Volume 4, and that alone was like two. Yeah, that alone was like 2-3 minutes.
But outside of that, like, the only thing I'm really looking forward to, which if it doesn't happen, like, my opinion of this volume will just like go in the trash almost, is if we don't get any like Ruby and Raven interaction, that's going to be an extremely missed opportunity. So I hope they do that. But outside of that, I'm done. It's Media's turn. I'm going to go tip my mouth fedora real quick.
So something you guys haven't brought up is Cinder.
That's true.
Cinder in the opening is face to face with who we assume is the Spring Maiden.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it also appears that there's going to be some major battlage going down in the Coliseum place in the opening. Which, granted, like, we've been misled by openings pretty much every single time.
Yeah, Volume 2.
But this one...
Nobody fought Adam.
Yeah, nobody fought Adam.
Before I'm gonna have to stop you, everyone, for just a second. So, what's everyone's opinion? Starting, let's do Media Blake. If I say Blake. Media Dude, Sock, Robert. What do y'all assume that the Spring Maiden's age is?
Early 20s.
I would say early 20s.
Same as Cinder. Roughly the same.
Basically,
as Cinder.
I would say same age as Cinder is my.
I'm a little younger than around the same age as Cinder. I'm gonna say a little younger, probably.
Because this is my, and I think I've mentioned this before in other podcasts, is I want the Spring Maiden to for some reason have the hots for John. That's just me being shitty though.
It's just a continuity thing with you. You just like, it has to happen.
Yeah. So I think
I'm gonna say like 19.
Yeah. So I think the main focus on this volume is going to be searching for the bandits. In that, in searching for the bandits, they just end up screwing everything up. Because it turns out that the bandits have the relic and stole it without anybody noticing, like, years ago, between Raven's portals and Spring's magic.
It's like, I knew Osmond's plan was
Yeah. I told you,
I took precautions.
It turns out that the relic of knowledge is just Ron Paul's head.
It's just a happening DEFCON meter.
Full circle from like the very first podcast when we talked about Raven.
Oh my lord.
Ron Paul pictures everywhere.
It could be Ron Swanson's head too, with that glorious mustache.
Oh hell yeah!
We're talking about libertarians here, you know.
Yep.
You can't talk about libertarians without talking about Ron Swanson.
So I think Yang is going to run into her first. Now, I think RWBY and like Crow and Team Ranger are going to run into them shortly afterwards, and we're going to get like dynamics and stuff in there. I think Cinder is going to come in and wreck stuff up, or maybe even try like buddying up with the bandits, and RWBY is trying to, and RWBY and everyone else is like, don't trust her, and Raven's like, I got her under control or whatever, and then stuff is gonna go down from there. I also think Weiss might get wrapped into that plot line sometime.
Speaking of a plot line with Weiss and the bandits, there's been a very like popular thing that people are saying like on the forums and stuff, that the bandit clan is going to kidnap or like capture Weiss for reasons, which I think is
I've been saying that.
Like for ransom or
probably, but I mean, like it feels kind of, I don't know, like I don't buy into it, because that's that web is too tangled and unorganized for that to happen. Like they can only really be like one or two like things going on with the bandit clan. Like, I mean, they could be like, oh, hey, look, it's Weiss, and then like one of like the lieutenants in the bandit clan just floats the idea. It's like, maybe we can just ransom her off, and then Weiss is like, oh, I was disowned from the family pretty much, and they're like, oh shit.
Would be kind of funny to see him go, maybe see Weiss team up with them and like go native or something. That might be kind of interesting, but I don't know.
Weiss finds her boyfriend in the bandit clan.
turns out that the long con ship was Weiss and the Spring Maiden.
I do like a little cream in my coffee.
Oh my god.
High powered approves. That's all that matters.
I'd approve. I'd ship Weiss next Spring Maiden.
But yeah, and I think Blake might get wrapped up into there too, with like kind of a hunting down of Adam, and Adam being with Hazel, and Hazel attacking the Bandit clan when Cinder initiates that plan. And I think that might be our finale. I think that might be the volume finale is just this big throwdown over the Spring Maiden / Relic of Knowledge.
Yeah, or them just trying to like, or as I stated in the podcast previous, it's like, look at all these people here that are our problems. It's like they're all in one location. We could just go in and take care of them right now. Like it's too easy. It's too like it's not a soft target, but like
it's fish in a barrel.
Yeah, it's like, oh look, all the members of this organization we don't like are in one spot. Let's just launch a missile at them and solve the problem right then and there.
Yeah, except that missile is a center. One other thing I think might end up happening, they've been teasing the return of Neo. I think she might turn, like, I don't know, maybe the possibility of her and Cinder, like, having a rivalry might be like a red herring or something like that, or maybe they have their rivalry, but then Neo swoops in and basically steals the show and, like, steals the Maiden's power and then kills either Crow or Winter or something like that. So
I kind of want a Neo to become a good person because she probably understands the reason why Crow's if I say Crow Roman's dead is because like this was her idea and her plan.
Maybe.
I'm still going with Emerald's the one who becomes a.
Yeah. Oh, here's another question too. Also, so this is something. So is is Salem's plan with Raven? Salem's plan was Cinder to have Cinder absorb all the Maiden's powers.
I'm not sure is that even possible?
Yeah, we don't even
Who
know.
knows? We don't know.
Eh.
I don't really get what the point is, since every maiden can just use all the elements anyway.
Well, I think
it's not like any of the maidens have special abilities like I gave them in RWBY Beyond.
Yeah, my fear is that they're going to. That's one retcon I would not like. Is if they're all. Oh, it turns out that actually the Fallen Maiden can only cast fire. We didn't even see we saw Amber use all 4 elements. She didn't even use fire, I don't think. So that's one retcon that I'm a little nervous they might do, and I really hope they don't.
But yeah, I think we can wrap it up after this. I mean, if anyone has any closing statements, feel free to make them. Robert, Sock, Dude, me, and then Media. That's the order for closing everything out. But I think we can shut this one down. If you want us to keep doing the webcam stuff,
yeah.
Make sure
because we're all so sexy. You want to just our beautiful, gorgeous faces.
Yeah, yeah.
Get out, Sock. Leave. I will not tolerate this insubordination.
It's like you can't make me leave my own home.
Hell, what's wrong with you?
But I mean, if we're gonna keep doing this, it's really up to the viewers if we're actually gonna keep doing this. Because I have a feeling I'm gonna be hearing complaints from media in the next few days about how much of a bitch this is to get together and post it on YouTube.
Oh no, this will be easy.
I could hear his hard drive filling up from across state lines.
I have a terabyte hard drive, and I usually delete a lot of raw files. When I get the complete thing.
I just got a 400 gigabyte one just chilling here right now, and this is a server grade one too. So I mean, I just have this chilling here.
Yeah, and I could get a terabyte hard drive for $25 on Newegg, and my computer has 10 slots for hard drives.
Hey,
they say quite a bit.
Like they say in RWBY Chibi, it's all about those clicks, man. If we get the clicks, then it's worth it. Okay,
it's all about them
clicks.
Yeah, if there's a positive response,
one thing I just want to bring up that I just realized, I think me and Sock have the same headphones.
I'll say this too. Also, I'll try to troll through the comments of this.
They have different colors on the thing. They look like. Oh wow, they do look the same.
Yeah, they're the same. Okay. So I'm gonna troll through the comments of this video, and if anyone has anything to say or add, I'll try to bring it up in the next podcast.
That's good, yeah.
So I'll do my best to try to do that. No guarantees. You're talking to a high functioning alcoholic here, so I don't make any promises.
Yeah, and again, this isn't gonna This isn't gonna go up until until there is no more paywall to see the episode.
We're talking about a well-armed, high-functioning alcoholic here.
I was wondering when the goods were gonna get pulled out.
I was wondering when that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Commenters will be shot.
Commenters will be shot and then fed to our trained panthers.
There we go.
I'll just feed them ballsy.
But let's shut this down. So Robert, you're first for closing comment.
Just one other thing that I noticed that I forgot to bring up earlier is that I liked is when Jean brings up the fact that when they mention Raven and Jean says, "Oh, Yang's mom." I thought that was a nice little moment.
Yeah,
it kind of surprised me, but it was a nice little moment of, oh yeah, they were friends.
That's an example of one of Miles' writing flaws actually benefiting the show. So Miles has this really big problem with having a lot of exposition written down for a dialogue sequence, having a bunch of characters on screen, and then just evening up the dialogue. With no rhyme or reason behind who says what. And for those scenes to be possible, everybody already has to know everything going in, and so it renders the entire scene pointless. Like, that is the entirety. That is every single dialogue sequence in RWBY Season 11. That is like 90% of them in Season 12. That is most of them in Season 13. And that's a lot of scenes in RWBY as well. Going back to Volume 3 with when Ironwood, Ozpin, Glinda, and Crow are talking. And they all already know everything that's going on. They already know about Amber and stuff. And they're just restating it for no other purpose than for the audience's benefit. So this was one of those moments, but it cements and confirms something that I had already suspected, and it's something everybody should have suspected, but for some reason there's still morons in this fan base that thought otherwise, and that is, Blake is not the only one Yang has told the stuff to. I don't know how many aneurysms I had on forums and stuff of people saying, RWBY doesn't know. Does RWBY even know who Raven is? Like,
yeah, if John
of course
knows,
she
RWBY
does.
definitely knows.
Well, I like the idea that John is a character that, like, between Team RWBY and Team Juniper, that, like, if someone goes to, like, have to air out their dirty laundry to, like, they go to John. Like, John seems like the person that's sitting
Actually,
there, like,
Rin seems like that kind of person.
Yeah.
Going back to Volume 2.
But
going back to Volume 2 with the towel scene.
I just imagine John sitting in the confessional booth at the Catholic Church. He's like, so state your sins, and then instead of getting that, it's just like Yang sitting there like unloading her mommy issues onto John, and John's like, "What did I sign up for?"
So Yang has mommy issues, Weiss has daddy issues. Are we sure that freezer burn shouldn't be canon?
I was gonna say, if you want to set the fandom on fire, make freezer burn canon. Okay, it's it's Sock's turn.
Like, I know we're usually used to being like misled by like opening credits and stuff like that. But we were seeing like all these characters. We were seeing Cinder. We were seeing Mercury. Where was Emerald?
Emerald
she was
like,
using her semblance to be invisible.
Yeah, Emerald.
It's like Toru and all the My Hero Academia openings. She's like in every single shot. Can't you tell?
You make me so mad.
He's right there.
It's like, other than that,
I love the Mother Spaceman thing. Like, you, the joke, and it's all like jumping over Deku's head. Watch Mother Spaceman's videos on My Hero Academia.
I need to watch more anime to understand.
All right, media's turn now.
You would at least like My Hero Academia. Yeah, my closing thoughts. It's a decent episode. Not a great episode though. Kind of above average, I think, is where I would put it.
6 out of 10.
A lot. Well, kind of. You gotta kind of grade RWBY stuff on a curve, but
yeah.
Which is why I always just compare it to other episodes in RWBY, and the volumes tend to have a pretty strong first episode. I would put this above the Volume 3 first episode, and I would put this on par with the Volume 4 first episode. Maybe like a couple notches above it, just because there's not a fight scene of questionable merit.
That's because they substituted the fight scene for the Yang short.
And
it looks like media froze out.
Yeah, he kind of did.
No.
And it's automatically above the Volume 2 opener, right?
I don't know about that. I don't know. I really like the first two episodes of Volume 2. I quite like them a lot.
I mean, for me,
it was
close.
But for me, like the first volume opener, the Ruby Rose, that's still the best.
That's still the best.
That's still the best.
Oh yeah, that's still the best opener.
Yeah,
it still is.
One of the better episodes that they've done so far. Yeah.
For me, my closing thoughts, I actually minus the song, I actually really like the OP of this volume. It has a very anime feel to it. I like how, I want Hazel to not have any weapons. He just uses his fists. Because he literally is like, oh look, so some random redheaded chick swinging a hammer at me, catch, toss. But
I like how in sync high powered and sock.
that wasn't on purpose. We didn't rehearse that at all. I just give me more, and I hope the quality stays. And it's just I hope they understand their issues that they've had with previous episodes. I mean, with previous volumes, and I hope they can learn from it. It sounds like they're learning from their mistakes and they're making improvements. I still love the show to death. It's got good waifus in it. It's got action,
especially now.
And I mean, I just love the ability that I can sit here and I can just soundboard all my crazy bullshit ideas off of other people, and then sometimes they turn out to be true. So it's just give me more, and I want to go to an RTX sometime. There's probably at the end of the volume is whenever they'll have the Austin one going on. So I'll definitely try to make it to that, and I'll ask a damn good question, and if they don't give me a good answer, then I'll get a good answer out of them.
You can't take your guns to the convention.
Hey, it's only illegal until you get caught.
There you go.
But yeah, no, not implying that I would ever do that sort of thing, though. But I definitely, I love this series, and I just want more of it. Oh gosh, I actually had to explain to my parents what this show was and what I was doing, and I'm like, oh no. And if I just look at my dad, I could just see small pieces of him breaking off, dying and breaking off and floating into the wind. And I'm just like, oh.
I like this crap.
It's just a show. I really like it, and I like talking. So,
but yeah, nothing too crazy. Oh no! Looks like someone's parents in here too. Also,
there's a sixth person on the podcast. Hello, person.
This is gonna have to
There's
be
a dog
cut
too. There's a
Yeah,
dog
yeah,
too.
my dancing dog,
All right, I think we can wrap this up.
he's the best dog ever.
Did we get the
I forgot. Yeah, Renora's life. Renora is love. Renora is life. It's so cute. It's the best. Oscar sucks. Please fix Oscar. Please continue Renora.
I want Oscar to be good, but yeah, I think we could shut it down. So until next time, well, I guess we'll see y'all later.
The plugins.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Plugging.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone plug their shit. Not actually plug it though, but
watch me read media stuff. That's all I have to say. I don't do anything else besides this podcast.
I need to rewrite my my script for a long conversation that thankfully doesn't need to happen because they've kind of diminished Volume 4 with this most recent episode.
With that one Nora line.
One line just gets crumpled up and thrown into the garbage.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, me and Kitty were talking about this last night. If you need a Weiss, I can do Weiss.
You actually can. You actually can do a really good one. That's true.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Other than that, yep. Checking. I don't know. Haven't done too much on RWBY and Beyond as of late, but I'm gonna start picking up on things pretty soon here. So yeah.
Oh, everybody, watch out for the character status update charts because I think those are supposed to be coming out.
Oh yeah.
When did he say he was going to be putting those out? I think he put a day. Yeah, he put a day of the week. He was going to be putting them out now.
Oh, he's doing them again?
Yeah, he said he's going to do them again.
He
that guy
is be doing them again.
Those are so fucking funny. They're hilarious.
They're funnier than the chibi subtitle things, which are just kind of.
Yeah, those are just kind of dumb at this point. But his death flags are usually wrong, but he's at least hilarious.
Well, I mean, death flag doesn't mean that they're gonna definitely die. It just means that there's evidence. But
he's very funny. Those are the funniest fucking things in the world, man. Callie Milfadonna will forever make me laugh.
Yes.
I hope that's still her name, by the way. I hope that's just permanently her name on his charts.
Yeah.
Anybody else before I do my list of things I have deployed.
I got one thing. For those of you listening, Kitty Kirishima is actually doing an OC contest.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Mine is the 20th of this month.
A lot of us are judges.
Yeah.
A lot of us are judges.
on that.
Yeah, so try to keep the edgy characters to a minimum. We've already got a
Because I will instantly give you a 0.
Yeah, they will be. Those will be roasted.
Only so many corners in the room that you can sit in.
Yeah.
But yes, it's like just. But you can
kill media.
I just finished planting my
submit
bed.
your OC application, just one.
Yeah, please.
To either RWBY Amino or on our RWBY and Beyond Facebook page.
Yes.
Or even on the Team
Sunny D.
Also on. Either of those 3 options are good. And
If you're on
simple list to what you need to do for your character, and we graded that.
If you're only on Ruby Republic right now, you're gonna have to get on 3 to do that because Republic.
Yeah, and
it's too big.
And link to the Facebook page will be in the description.
Also, too, I'm gonna shill the Discord. I want more active voice members of the Discord.
We've got a few since the premiere.
But I want more.
I finally.
It's never enough.
I finally got Leo to get on the Discord, and Kitty finally got a anonymous prick to join the Discord.
Yeah, it's just I want more active voice members, and I want more people I can throw through the meat grinder of PUBG to play with. But outside of that, that's my only thing, which I feel like I ruined media on with PUBG, because literally the second game we played, we won.
Yeah.
And he got the winning kill too.
Chasing that high.
Yeah, it literally is like you're chasing the dragon on that one. But I'm
Feels
done.
like the first time.
Just love the I just want more. Give me more. So, media, you shut us down.
Alright, so if you like this video and you want to hear more from us, like, comment, and subscribe. We are doing this every week, and we will be doing 2 podcasts a week. The RWBY podcast, which we record on Sundays and we'll upload on Tuesdays, and then the Beyond podcast, which we will record on Wednesdays and probably be uploaded on Thursdays because we don't have to worry about spoiler bans for those. And
what's the Beyond podcast again?
It's just talking about other TV shows and stuff. Like this first one, we're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm also doing RWBY reviews. I already have the audio recorded for my review of this episode, and I think I have most of it edited. Back it up just a little bit. It says Enora. I know it says Renora's life, but the R didn't make it into the frame.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I also do fan fiction. The RWBYond fan fiction on fanfiction.net. RWBYond Home is going pretty good. I'm going to try to do like 2 chapters a week from that, which is way slower than my usual chapter per day. But these chapters are also like 5 times longer than my usual RWBYond chapter used to be. Lot more going on per chapter. Lot of really stuff. Lot really neat stuff. I'm gonna be getting into. I also do Guardians of Terra. Sometimes I haven't written a chapter on that. I just have kind of like writer's block. Like I have plans and stuff for Guardians of Terra. I just don't know how to get from like point A to point B necessarily. At the moment, and I've got a bunch of other stuff I'm doing with school and all the podcasts and other videos and stuff I'm doing.
Yeah.
Cut. Yeah. So that's it. Again, let us know what you thought of this episode. Let us know your theories, and we'll have a segment of the podcast going forward where we address those comments. So,
because sometimes people actually do have some pretty clever stuff that we didn't think of.
I mean, that's basically how Robert got onto the podcast.
That's true. Yeah.
All I ask is use bullet points and have decent grammar. And I can't speak to this because I have a very good editor editing my fanfic. So.
Yeah, I don't. I do all the editing myself, and since I'm a terrible proofreader, that's why.
Yeah,
That's why
thanks,
there's
Steve.
like random numbers in the middle of words sometimes.
All
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
that's not to be edgy.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone, have a good night, and we'll see you next time on the RWBY podcast.
Yeah.